Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
And whenever you're set.
All right. Now, I'm sure that many of us can relate to this story. You know, imagine that, you know, sometime you're out maybe with friends, you're out with family, you may be at the mall, or you may be at a party, and then you run into someone that you used to know. And, you know, just say, hey, how you been? You know, how are things? Oh, you know, I'm good. I'm going to Fulton College. You know, what about you? Oh, you know, I'm good. Just got out of jail. You know, just like, you know. And then, like, he's kind of just like, wow. You know, I remember, you know, when we used to, you know, as kids, we used to be best of friends. You know, you were one, like, the most good kids that I knew. What happened? You know, like, I remember that we were best friends. Kind of ties into this German proverb. A friendship is a plant we must often water. Basically, it's saying that a friendship is something that you have to give into as well. You know, just give, not so much like giving, like, you know, be a pushover, but necessary. Do things that will help benefit the friendship. Do things that will help keep you guys close. You know, keep, you know, small things like keeping in contact and such like that. Just seeing how just seeing how the other person's day or week has been going. There are a couple of examples that I can think about. One's with one of my friends that I have right now. Me and him are very complicated. You know, I like to consider myself a pretty good looking kind of guy. You know, cut my hair, shave. You know, got that little Akon swag going on. So, you know, sometimes when I'm out, you know, I may meet up on a girl. You know, start talking, chatting. You know, get her contact information. Now, considering that I still believe in cooties and just, you know, girls play more games than Super Mario Brothers, there's nothing that's going to happen. But this guy will always call me up for some girls. He never calls me up to say, hey man, how was your game on Saturday? Or, you know, hey, you want to go down for a ride or something like that? No, every time he hits me up, hey man, what are you doing? Oh, not too much, you know, just, you know, chilling. What's up? Got some girls? Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, hit me up for something else. You know, like this kind of friendship that we have, you know, it's just, it's more of me giving into him. You know, me giving him what he wants. You know, like, you know, I can't remember the last time that he bought me some lunch. I'm not a very, you know, expensive kind of guy. You know, take me out to, you know, McDonald's, 99-cent menu. You know, 2 McDoubles, medium fries, sweet iced tea, $5.32. That's not too much. $5.32. And another example that I can think about is exes. You know you can't be friends with your ex. You know, just you can try, which is foolish. But you know, I don't know why at a breakup you say, hey, we can still be friends. You can't be friends because you know. It's hard it's hard giving the other person what they want because sometimes what they want is, you know, to be back in a relationship and such like that, and you can't do that. Because to do that, it would hurt the friendship, and you know, other people, you know, they may not want a relationship. So then now, you know, you guys still talking and such like that, you may be leading on the other person, and that's not really helping the relationship. Helping the friendship that you guys have. Now it's kind of putting it on turmoil and such like that. Now you guys are on, you know, there's tension and such like that. You know, and also, you know, to be friends with one of your exes, you know, you also have to be not to be the jealous type. And you guys know when it comes to your ex, you know, sometimes, you know, you still get a little bit jealous. You know, see him talking to someone else and such like that, and just like, that dirty girl eating fries with that one guy. She was eating fries with me yesterday. And just, you know, you can't, you know, be friends thinking those kind of thoughts. You can't be friends with jealousy. You can't be friends with anger towards them and such like that. And then another example that I have is just, you know, like best friends. There's a reason why they can be best friends. There's a reason why they get along so well together. It's because they're both putting in what they feel that they need to do to make the friendship last. You know, where you have sayings like, a friend is someone that you can call when you end up in jail, but a best friend is the one that's sitting right next to you in that cell. You know, it's saying that that person is always there for you no matter what. You know, that's not the person that you call upon. That's the person that's next to you, you know, backing you up in a fight. Or that's the person that's next to you who, you know, is going to, you know, threaten to kick someone's butt because they hurt you and such like that. You know, the best friend is someone that really puts in what they feel that they need to do, almost like what they feel that they would want the person to do for them into that friendship. So then it all ties back to the German proverb, a friendship is a plant we must often water, meaning that a friendship is something that we must always put our best into. We must always make sure that we're doing what we need to do to make sure that it can flourish. Thank you.
We already tried that. It's just a Dawn. So Dawn could go through. You're investing.
Oh my god.
All right, the visualization at the beginning is okay. You move to the topic pretty effectively. I guess it's clear what your point of view is. There's not really a setup of what the structure is going to be. You've got a few examples that you're going to use, and that's what's going to structure the speech. And I thought that you provided a lot of nice detail on the examples that tried to make them interesting. The presentation issues, there are a couple of things that are solid and a couple things that are a little problematic. You've got nice energy at the beginning. It flows pretty smoothly for the most part. There's variety in your delivery. You emphasize some ideas that are humorous occasionally, and I like that. That makes things work better. The pacing issues, like I said, it was flowing smoothly. However, I mentioned to somebody earlier that they should count the likes. You get to count the you-knows. All right, because I counted at least 20, and I didn't start counting until you'd already been speaking for about half of the presentation. So there's a lot of them in there, and it's just one of those habits that people fall into, and they don't realize how often they're doing it. And one of the ways to kind of force yourself to break yourself of that habit is to pay attention to what you're doing. Because, you know, if you kick yourself in the head enough times recognizing I'm doing the same thing over and over again, then you pay attention and try to make sure that you don't do it as much again. So when I'm saying I want you to count them, I really want you to do that. You know, put that in that self-evaluation form when you do it. How many times did you actually say you know during the speech? That'll give you something to focus on. I think you've got a very nice expressive face. The tone in your voice is energetic for the most part. You do sway a little bit awkwardly. It looks kind of like I know you're kind of getting into the energy like a fighter who's getting into the round, and I'm going to speak there, but it needs to be a little bit more purposeful. I like the examples that you had. Like I said before, I think you had pretty good detail on those. All right, thank you.